Hi everybody, today we're going to be looking at the new-ish Suunto Race. Yeah, a well-priced, well-featured GPS sports watch with a delicious 1.43 touchscreen AMOLED display. Surely there's got to be a catch. Let's find out. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank Bella Forte for sponsoring this review. Putting in a lot of miles at the moment, so I'm really enjoying their protein shakes. Stick around to the end or fast forward to the end because I will share a 25%, that's right, 25% off discount code with you. I've had, well over 10 years loving with Garmin. I've known about Suunto, had lots of friends who've had Suuntos over the years, but for me, I enjoy the trails, so that lack of offline mapping and detailed navigation just means I've gave it a wide berth. And if I'm honest, I'm not 100% sure what has been the problem, what's been the hold up. You've got two models to choose from with the Race. You've got a titanium, which I'm going to be looking at today, and that comes in at 70 grams on the wrist. And you also got a stainless steel version. You'll be looking at about 83 grams on the wrist if you go for that model. There is a price difference too. The titanium version will set you back $479, and the stainless steel, wow, that comes in at a super competitively priced £389. The titanium does have a larger storage capacity, 32 gigabytes as opposed to 16 gigabytes for the stainless steel version. Both have these two buttons on the right hand side and this rotating crown, plus yes, that lovely touchscreen AMOLED display. The user interface is nice and easy to navigate, but there will be a little bit of a learning curve if you're coming over from another brand. You know, I am used to the Garmin ecosystem and I did struggle for a bit, but yeah, now the menu navigation is fine. Suunto has nailed the design. It looks amazing. I think it's quite understated too. So if you're not a fan of that chunky, that big, rugged outdoor style watch, like maybe the Garmin Phoenix or the Chorus Vertex type watches, then yeah, this could be right up your street. Super comfortable on the wrist, which is always nice because yeah, they do stay on there, for me at least, all day and night. Yeah, and that screen, wow, that is a huge upgrade from my old Garmin Phoenix 6X. I've seen a few people mention that it's got a bit of a lag when you're navigating the menus, and yeah, it does. I've got to say it does, but my goodness me, not enough to bother me. Talking about the packaging, there is not a lot in that box, which is fine, you know, no need for waste. Before we get into all the juicy stuff, you're gonna have to turn it on, set it up, download the Suunto app unless you already have it. Unfortunately, they don't have a web browser option like say what Garmin Connect do. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I do still use Garmin Connect via the browser. Anyway, thankfully, I found it super easy to set up and get going. The app is a breeze too. Now bear in mind, I've come from a long-term relationship with Garmin and I've created a course, no problem at all. I've uploaded a GPX file without any bother and I've exported the GPX file. I've also created custom workouts, super simple, super impressed. I would love a free training plan if that is there. You know, Garmin offer this, so I do kind of expect that at least. Maybe they do, and fingers crossed they do, and if they do, please comment below, but I can't find it. Maybe I'm missing something. There is a lot of stuff on that app actually that I have zero interest in, but yeah, you might. Super impressed. Yeah, really easy to navigate. Spoiler, I'm not going to talk about any of the sport profiles apart from running and treadmill, but you do have, my goodness me, you have so many to choose from. You could be into Nordic walking or surfing, and the Suunto Race has a profile for you, and you can create custom profiles too and edit the data fields as you see fit. All the usual data to choose from, which is awesome. I did want to set up a 30-minute alert or a 20-minute alert just to remind me to eat when I'm racing. I don't really care when I'm just doing my normal commutes, but when I'm racing, it becomes really important. And apologies Suunto if I've missed something. And yes, you can set the auto lap to beep every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever you want. And thanks Angela for sharing that knowledge. That is a big help and a little kind of clunky workaround. So it does work, but it is not ideal. Now this might seem like a tiny thing, and if you run shorter distances, then you don't even think about this. Or maybe you run on the roads and each mile is consistent. So yeah, if you think every mile is 8 minutes, 8, 16, 24, you're gonna remember every 3 miles, I will take a gel. But if you're running long and on the trails when yes, you become really fatigued, and some of those miles could be 30-minute miles depending on the terrain, then this feature really is a big help, especially later in the race when you are completely shattered and you just don't want to think about these things. So yeah, a little nudge, a little alert every 20 or 30 minutes or so, just to remind me to eat, is a massive help. Well, it is for me anyway. Hopefully you can do this, and please comment below if I'm missing something. That little alert every 20-30 minutes or so would be awesome. When you are scrolling through the menus with the crown, I stumbled across something else that niggled me. You know, the crown is awesome and it works perfectly, but if you pass past what you want, then you have to scroll back up again instead of it just kind of looping round back to the top. Small menus are fine, but larger menus, yeah, that really does niggle me. Picked up a satellite, fine, tiny bit slower than my Garmin Fenix 6X Pro Solo, but if they weren't side by side, yeah, I wouldn't have noticed it at all. And then off you go. It does prompt you, which is really cool. It does prompt you if you've not got a satellite lock. You can wait for satellites or you can dismiss it. Yeah, I just thought that was quite a cool little feature. And then that is it. On the run, it's super comfortable on the wrist. The display is just sensational. My old Garmin, yeah, it's looking a little bit tired in comparison. You can see on the map that the Garmin and the Suunto do drift a bit when it comes to this GPX track. This route, wow, it is super challenging for GPS watchers. You're running up a valley with steep sides and lots of tree coverage too. So yeah, a great test and actually a proper nightmare. But overall, the distance at the end of the run is consistent between two devices. So I am super pleased with that. And that has been the tail for all of my runs. Elevation is a little out, and to be honest, I don't know if Garmin is incorrect, Suunto is incorrect, or both devices have a problem. Anyway, it is a little bit different, just under 100 foot over 17 miles. So I'm not going to stress too much about that. Heart rate via the chest strap, yeah, that's consistent during my tests between the Garmin and the Suunto, and that is good to see. So I'm pretty happy with the accuracy there. It's great to see also that my Garmin heart rate strap, that can pair no problem whatsoever with the Suunto Race. They could have put up a few hurdles so the two devices wouldn't speak to each other, but no, they didn't do that. That is awesome. As usual, unfortunately, optical heart rate via the wrist during an activity at least is absolutely awful. Now, I'm not throwing Suunto under a bus, and particularly personally, I've never had any luck with any wrist-based optical heart rate during an activity, whether that's Garmin or Suunto or any other device I'm using. And I do know that is not the case for everybody, and if you are one of the lucky ones, then that is awesome. My problem is we get so much feedback about effort and recovery, but if the watch thinks I'm, say, at 5k effort from a morning dog jog, then surely it can't give me accurate recovery data. However, it does seem fine when walking about, and it copes really well when sleeping too. But for me, anything else, yeah, it is useless. So if the information I want is important, I will rely on the chest strap and completely ignore the optical heart rate monitor. Once my run has finished, yeah, I'll save the activity. I would like a resume it later option. Quite often, maybe I'll go for a cup of tea mid-run, meet up with somebody, or I don't know, for some reason I need to resume the activity later. I don't want to clutter Strava with millions of little runs. So a resume later would be awesome. It doesn't have it on this just yet. Again, call me out, comment below if I've got this wrong, but I can live without it. Yeah, awesome, super easy, no dramas, and it was good to see gap pace on the app, or NPG as Suunto call it. Now, if you run on the trails, on the mountains, you're gonna love that data. Apologies if you're not treadmill runners, but I do so much of my sessions, my weekly runs on a treadmill, that this is super important for me. And yeah, the Suunto, wow, that delivered big time. It matched my Garmin step for step. Not 100% sure how they do it. I think it tracks your cadence, and basically the watch educates itself over time how you run, and then it knows basically your cadence equals a certain speed. Now, these tests have been flat treadmill runs, so maybe they'd be less accurate if I cranked it up to an incline, but based on my tests, I'm completely satisfied that the data is accurate, or at least as accurate as my Garmin. Free offline maps, and you can download them in chunks depending on the part of the world you are exploring. Yeah, I really like that. It's really easy via the app, but it does take quite a long time to download these maps, and you will need that charging cradle. So allow plenty of time if you need to do this. Also, creating and adding a route is super easy. I tested it with the Silver Northern Traverse route because that GPX file crashed not just one, maybe 3 Garmins during our recce of that race. And yeah, this Suunto race, yeah, opened up the file, no problem at all. Super impressed for that. The maps have to be the standout feature on this watch. That AMOLED display, yeah, is just sensational. Turn by turn prompts if you want them. You've also got off course prompts too, just to keep you right. However, I noticed I deliberately wandered off course just to test this, and it did take a few minutes to beep, which yeah, really annoyed me. You're probably not going to get lost or waste loads of time either, but if you are in the middle of a race, yeah, you might just ship a few places. The map speed, wow, that blew me away. My Garmin is really laggy. It's quite an old watch now, to be fair, but not the Suunto. I did a rotation test, and this just shows how quick things are. You can zoom in and out, rotate, silky, smooth, clear mapping with enough detail, yeah, to make navigation just a piece of cake. Suunto nailed the battery life too, about 40 hours in performance mode. Now that should be enough for most races and a week of training too, but if you do need a top up, then just do a fast charge for 10 minutes in the cradle, and that will give you an extra 6 hours of life. Now I'll be happy with this on my wrist for all of the races that I do. I can't think of anything that would require something with a bigger battery than this, and I think that magnetic charging cradle is awesome, much better for me at least than the Garmin plug that you get with the Phoenix devices. The only thing with the cradle, it is a little bit tricky, almost actually impossible to charge on the move. Now I'm not a swimmer, but if you are covered with 100 meters of water resistance, lots of widgets and info available via the crown, all the usual data you would expect: heart rate variability, sleep score, steps, blood oxygen, etc, etc, so much more. Now I don't use most of these, but if you like all the data, yeah, fill your boots. You can wake the watch up via a wrist movement, and that works really well, and I really like that during an activity because that can extend your battery life by quite a bit. I really like the torch feature, simple but effective. You could be going to the loo at night and you're stumbling around, you don't want to kick your toes off anything. You could be camping with friends and you don't want to disturb people. That is really handy, and it's pretty bright too. You can modify the watch face. I've done that, and I went for a more traditional style watch face, but lots of choices over there if you want to do that. You can also customize these little 2 buttons here if you want to add something to a shortcut. Yeah, and I did the torch to the bottom shortcut, and just to access it, super easy. All you do, long press, and eventually comes on. Yeah, super simple, really effective. Now this watch does everything I need. You might need some of the features like the Garmin or the Chorus or the Polar offer, you know, offline music, contactless payments, but I don't currently use any of those features. All in all, I'm super impressed with the Suunto Race, especially being a long-term Garmin user, coming from that infrastructure, that ecosystem. I've got to be honest, I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but the team over in Finland, yeah, they've done an awesome job. It is not 100% perfect, let me get that clear, and I'm still getting used to that interface, but for the price I really can't complain, and all of my dislikes and little quirks, yeah, they could be fixed with the software update. Let me know what you think below. Yeah, are you a Garmin user? Are you a Chorus user? Are you a Polar user thinking about jumping ship? Or have you got this device? Do you like it? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Thanks Veloforte for sponsoring this review, and if you would like to try award-winning delicious gels, bars, chews and protein shakes, then yeah, pop over to Veloforte. Don't forget, patrons can receive 25% off, and anyone can receive 25% off their first order with the code T&T-25. Super simple, T and T-25. Finally, Suunto did send me the Suunto Race to test, but they're not paying me, and it's got to go back because it's a marketing model. But more importantly, they didn't check the review before I upload it to YouTube. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this upload, if you found it useful, then yeah, please give it a like, share and subscribe. 100% free to do all of those, and you will feel awesome. Also, if you enjoy trail running, there's a good chance you're going to enjoy the Tea and Trails podcast. Each week, Eddie Sutton and I upload running and trail running content. So yeah, if you enjoy the trails, there's a good chance you're going to love it. Okay, that's it from me. You take care. See you next time.